How's your isolation going?
We're Brett Lucky here. We've got a bouncy castle business as part of the trust I work for, so yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
We just thought we'd just sort of bam around on a bouncy castle and, here we are. Hey, we thought we would give you a bit of an update. Do you want to let us know what's going on? Do you ever feel like isolation
It's letting you
down?
letting you down, yeah.
What do we got going on?
This week, I think we've got Ella. Really excited for the message she's going to be bringing. She's talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus.
She is a wahine toa of the Bible. We are standing on the backs of giants that have gone before us. We're looking into our ancestors series, and this is the last one that we've got going on in this series. Of course, it was sort of leading up to the school holidays.
Yeah.
But we're in isolation now, so kind of everyone's on a wee bit of a holiday. It's all a bit mixed up. But this is the last one of the series with Ella doing Mary.
Yeah, and I really have been encouraged by all the messages they've been bringing.
Yeah.
The exciting people that have gone before us in faith and what they've done. And what I'm really excited about at present is we're meeting online as youth groups.
So good.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
so many good stories.
So many groups that are getting together online, groups that are playing Jackbox, groups that are doing trick challenges, people digging deep into their youth groups and kind of digging deep into the Bible and things like that. It's just outrageous to see the community that's happening in a space where the world is pushing us further away from one another.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see how that evolves and what happens in the next couple of weeks as more and more people get used to it, and there's a whole heap more of creativity and excitement around it.
We really encourage you to dig deep into this message that Ella's got for us around Mary, the mother of Jesus. So why don't you get together in your youth groups, gather together online on Zoom or however you can, and watch this message, and let's chat about it, let's have discussion. Maybe you want to put your discussion in the chats below and stimulate some discussion around other youth groups, but let's get excited, let's do this, we're excited for what's coming. See you later.
Bam!
Welcome to Youth Church, guys, our new and somewhat improved youth church. I feel like I've spent like 40 minutes just trying to get the lighting in this room right for the video, so please bear with me. I wasn't, I would say, quite ready to start my vlogging career on such short notice, so you're just gonna have to bear with as we do our best. I think this talk that I was going to do at youth church / am doing at this random online youth church would have been a little bit different had it been at the cathedral and in front of you guys as we had initially planned. I think one of the things I do when I get given a topic to speak on is to really think about how it relates to our current situation and what we're living in and what we're doing and what's going on. And I think that we can all agree that the situation on Sunday, April 5th, I think it is very different than what we thought it was going to be possibly 1 or 2 months ago. So I definitely had to adjust some of my thinking around what I was going to share and what aspects of Mary's life I was going to dig into for you today. So that's all right. We've adjusted it a wee bit for our status quo, but I'm sure that there'll be some gold in here for you. So I think there are 3 key aspects of Mary and her character that really speak to the time we are in at the moment. The first one is that she showed great courage to step into the unknown. I'm going to tell you the first part of a story in Mary's life that's probably really well known to you because we hear it a lot at Christmas. So Mary was a young woman, perhaps 13 or 14 years old, who lived in a town called Nazareth in the northern part of Israel in Galilee. She, like so many other young women of her time, was preparing for a marriage that had been arranged for her. God knew Mary's resilience and courage and grace and sent an angel to her with this message. The angel said, "Hello Mary, I am Gabriel and I bring you word from our Heavenly Father who is full of grace and love for you." Mary was fearful and overwhelmed by this encounter, as I think we all would be. But the angel explained that she need not be afraid. He said she was going to have a son and he was to be named Jesus. Mary asked the angel how this could possibly be. Gabriel explained that the baby would be created by the Holy Spirit. He would be Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Mary replied, I'm sure after taking a very deep breath, I will step into this calling of the Lord. Let everything you said be true. And with this, the angel left her. I think it's important when looking at this story to understand all the things that Mary put on the line when she said yes to God in this moment. We've heard so many times at Christmas as well, I'm sure, how absolutely unacceptable it was socially to be pregnant outside of marriage. And I think that the sacrifice she made for her reputation and for her status within the community to step into a space of serving God is really profound. She also sacrificed the potential of her marriage. Joseph could very well have just left her in that moment because obviously it seemed that she'd been unfaithful to him. And that could have completely fallen apart, and I think that's a really profound sacrifice she made as well. She sacrificed the comfort and security of having hopes and plans for her life that she had made, because I think she had no idea how this whole situation was going to play out for her, but she gave over that control to God, and I think that's a really, really powerful thing. She was also faithful to that commitment that she made to God. Like, she had courage to step into it in the first place. But having faith is to continually choose to place our hope and our trust in something. And Mary was incredibly faithful to God in this space. She carried and gave birth to and raised Jesus. And I think we have to do a lot of guesswork here because Mary's kind of adult life is not widely written about in the Bible. But I think reading between the lines, we can assume that there were many long sleepless nights with a crying baby, years of parenting and nurturing and raising Jesus, hours and hours of work centered on providing care for other people. And I think as he got older, also Jesus left their family and he went for his life of mission and he traveled around with his disciples. And I think for us, what Jesus did in that time is some of the fantastic stories that we read about in the Bible, and that's really awesome. But for Mary, she lost his support of their family, and I can imagine it was really painful and worrying for her, particularly as Jesus later in his life got on the wrong side of the law and became increasingly unpopular towards his death. That would have been extremely stressful for her. Yet she stayed really faithful and served him and served God in that space, and I think that's really phenomenal. And I think the last thing that Mary did, or the last key trait that she has that is particularly profound in this space, is how she stood with dignity in the face of pain and suffering. There's a really powerful moment in the crucifixion story where Mary kneels at the foot of the cross, and neither her own danger nor the sadness of what she was witnessing, nor the reproach or insults of the people around her could stop her from performing this last act of love and compassion and service to her son as he was on the cross. She didn't shout and scream and protest as I think we probably would if one of our loved ones was being taken from us. She didn't throw her toys and complain about how bitterly unfair everything was. She simply just sat with Jesus in his pain, and she sat with her own pain and got really well acquainted and comfortable with that space. And I think there's a really profound message in there for us of acknowledging and accepting that pain is a part of life. It's going to be a part of our story in so many ways, shapes and forms, and actually we need to start understanding and getting comfortable with the space that is pain. And I think Mary was a really phenomenal example of that for us. So what does this mean for us right now as we're in lockdown and in the middle of this kind of pandemic space? I think like Mary, we can open our hearts and our minds to hear the invitation of God in our lives, to encounter opportunities to be courageous, to step into a narrative that we may not understand or see the full picture of, yet God is still in the mystery of that space full of love and grace and goodness for us. I think we can learn to sit in spaces of pain and discomfort and suffering and hold our head high to be loved and held by God. And we can offer other people wholeness in this space. As we do that, we can be a real example of, I guess, choosing a different way to encounter and manage pain and suffering. Mary had no privileged role or leadership position. She did not really get any recognition or credit for what she did at the time. She stepped really courageously and faithfully into the life that God had for her. She trusted and had hope in Him and persevered with grace in her suffering. And in doing this, Mary offered the world the greatest gift she possibly could have, and that was the gift of Jesus Christ. That was, really literally and metaphorically. She gave that to us. And I think she gave away her ego, her comfort, her security, ultimately so that the world could encounter Jesus. And I think there's an invitation for all of us in this space. Where are we going to be more courageous and more faithful and more comfortable with suffering? I think this time that we're in can be full of unknown and anxiety and pain and challenging moments. And I think that leaning into God and leaning into the knowledge that He is good, having courage, being brave, being faithful, is all going to be really important for us. I think it's not going to be easy, but continuing to live out of the grace and love of God, and also the grace and love that Mary managed to walk through her life portraying. We're going to be able to offer so much of Jesus to those around us, not only by what we do, but also by the example that we set for a way for them to carry out their lives as well, I think. I really encourage you to reflect on Mary's life and some of these, attributes that she had and some of the attitude that she chose to walk out her life doing, and think about how that can, be transformative for you as we sit in this interesting and challenging season at the moment. I really bless you guys in this time and hope that there was something in here that you can reflect on and take away.